By being the best that you can be. Be authentic. Be committed. Be an example. Be a role model. Do what Dr. King would have wanted you to do.
Good morning. Welcome, Shaw University family and friends. It is my distinct pleasure and privilege to welcome you to the celebration of Awakening the Dream, remembering the legacy and life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Shaw University claims some kindreds to Dr. King in that students here on this campus banded together in the formation of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee to support the actions and activities of Dr. King and the Civil Rights Movement. And now, before I give the formal welcome, I'm going to invoke the promise of Dr. King, and that is the beloved community. If you look around this gym this morning, you will see individuals from every walk of life, from every ethnicity, and we're all here for the same reason. And that's to celebrate the legacy of Dr. King and to continue the work that he began. Shaw University has adopted as its recruiting slogan, surrounded by opportunity. And we take that very, very seriously because we have opportunities to engage with our larger community, downtown Raleigh, so many ways that we can influence the achievement of the beloved community. So again, I welcome you to Shaw University.
Elvin, you good?
Let me introduce our platform guests.
Here's a little
We
trick.
have Dr. Johnny Hill,
Add 20 minutes to
Dean of
better.
the Shaw
You need to
University
see
Divinity
anything? It's
School,
right in there.
Dr. Gerald Thomas,
But you're not moving
University
yourself. Why not
chaplain.
save the battery?
Trustee Willie E. Gary, Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. Corey Branch, Reverend Dr. David C. Forbes, Senior, former Dean and Trustee of Shaw University, Reverend T.J. Walker, Jesse Jackson Jr., representing his father, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Dr. Joseph Bell, Chairman of the Shaw University Board of Trustees, Mr. Ryan Wright, Shaw University Student Government President. At this time, I would like to acknowledge special guests who have come to celebrate this occasion. Would members from our Board of Trustees please stand? Would all of our elected officials please stand and be recognized at this time? Would esteemed clergy please stand? And now I know there's a bunch of you. Would all distinguished alums of our beloved Shaw University please stand? Shaw University faculty and staff, please stand. Students from our Honors College, please stand. Government Association, would you please stand? And for the full student body that's present in this space, please stand. I know you didn't stand, but I know that you're students of Shaw University, and this event is for you. So at this time, we will proceed with the program as printed.
Let me first begin by the honor and praise of God for the privilege and the opportunity to be here today. The Shaw family. I want to thank in a very special way Reverend Walker for that wonderful song that he just sang, acapella. Acapella is hard work any time of the week, and carried it with such harmony and with such grace and with such poise. Please give Brother Walker a round of applause. Madam President, members of the Board of Directors, and members of the faculty, students, it's an honor and privilege for me to be here today. Yesterday, my father called me at about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, and I was in Atlanta on my way to Chicago. He called me and said, "Jesse, why don't you meet me in Raleigh?" I jumped on a 5 o'clock plane, flew to Raleigh, got off the plane, and received several text messages and calls. Dad had been rushed to the hospital because of swelling in his ankles and his legs. He called me from the hospital and said, "Son, I can't make it to Shaw." I said, "Man, I'm already in Raleigh." I said, "I'm going to hang around here for a moment to hang out with some of my classmates." And I got a call around 8 o'clock last night from Howard University Hospital, and he indicated that he needed to take a battery of tests this morning. As many of you know, Reverend announced within the last year that he has Parkinson's. And he's 77 years old. He spoke just last week at the Nobel Prize Committee in Stockholm, Sweden, celebrating the 90th birthday of Martin Luther King Jr. He then flew to Cleveland, Ohio to speak, and then to New York to speak, and then back to Washington, and was en route here when he called me and was stricken. We'll keep him in our prayers at this hour. But I was honored and privileged that my father had confidence in me. He asked me to come and speak with the students and the faculty and the family of Raleigh and of Shaw University in particular on this occasion, where we celebrate the 90th birthday of Martin Luther King Jr. I'm privileged to see in the audience Representative Mickey Show. When I was a student at North Carolina A&T in 1984 and 1987, Dr. Forbes, we started Students United for Free South Africa. We modeled our organization off of the students here at Shaw that began the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And it was our goal over the course of our tenure as students at North Carolina A&T to get the state of North Carolina to divest its resources, its pension funds from South Africa, that we might, as students, do our part in advancing the freedom movement, not only of our people here in the United States, but people throughout the world. We idealized and modeled ourselves after a great representative of the state of North Carolina who ran my father's campaigns in 1984 and 1988. Students, you ought to know when you're in the presence of greatness. And there are very few men who have a reputation around this country and around this world of the stature of the great Mickey Michelle. Please give Representative Michelle a great round of applause. The representative reminded me that in 1984 we got on a private plane, I as a student at North Carolina A&T, and we flew to Detroit, Michigan, where Aretha Franklin was having a fundraiser for my father in her house, and Mickey Michelle was present, and Reverend Jackson was present, and Aretha sang. And what a reunion it is, that in the year that we had just lost Aretha Franklin, that we are united again as family and friends. I want to thank Dr. Forbes for the sacrifice that he made in the 60s and the journey that he has carried this great university and the legacy of the people. Dr. Forbes petitioned God that we might touch the hearts and the sensibilities of the President of the United States, that he might change his mind. Brothers and sisters, after 2 years of listening to this president, I don't expect him to change his mind, but if we register and vote, we can definitely change his residence. I spoke with Dr. Dillard last night, and she shared with me that the theme for today's program was Awakening the Dream. I called my father last night and I asked him, what would you like me to say to the Shaw family? I said, please tell me you have a speech that you've already written. And all I have to do is get up and deliver it. No. Dad, it's a bit of an inconvenience for you to call me and ask me to leave Atlanta when I was on my way to Chicago. Then, of course, you're unable to come and speak, and I don't have a speech in my pocket, and I'd like to get some sleep tonight. I flew to Raleigh to be sitting in the very seat that you are sitting in right now to listen to Dr. Forbes introduce Jesse Jackson. Dr. Forbes gave an extraordinary introduction of Reverend Jackson. I'm not Reverend Jackson. I'm former Congressman Jesse Jackson. I served in the Congress of the United States for almost 20 years. So I called my dad last night and I said, Dad, what is it that I can say to the students of Shaw that will make sense? And he said, son, the key to giving a good speech is to write a very good beginning. And if you write a very good ending, and you manage to put the two as close together as possible, you'll have a good speech. I shared with him that I would do my best on this occasion to stick to some of that advice. Abraham Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address in 3.5 minutes. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered the I Have a Dream speech in 13.5 minutes. I promised President Dillard that I would fit my remarks comfortably between Gettysburg and I Have a Dream. We are not going to be here all day. Dr. Dillard said that the theme of our program, Congressman, is awakening the dream. Awakening the dream. I tossed and turned all night without a speech and decided to jot down some thoughts and then type them early this morning, functioning on a few wee hours of sleep, and then it came to me. I don't want to speak about waking and no drinking, because I'm not getting no sleep. On March 31st, 1968, just a few days before his assassination, Dr. King delivered a sermon at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C., and the title of the sermon was Remaining Awake Through a Great Revolution. He began by saying, I would like to use as a subject from which to preach this morning, remaining awake through a great revolution. After quoting a text from Revelation, Dr. King said, I'm sure that most of you have heard the arresting little story from the pen of Washington Irving titled Rip Van Winkle. The one thing that we usually remember about the story is that Rip Van Winkle slept for 20 years. But there's another point, Dr. King said, in that little story that is often overlooked. It was the sign in the inn from which Rip went up in the mountain for his long sleep. Dr. King said Rip Van Winkle went up into the mountain. The sign had a picture of King George III of England on it. When it came down 20 years later, the sign had a picture of George Washington, the first president of the United States. When Rip Van Winkle looked up at the picture of George Washington, he was amazed because he was completely lost. He knew not who he was. He knew not where he was. Dr. King said, and this reveals to us the most striking thing about the story of Rip Van Winkle. Winkle was not merely asleep for 20 years, but he slept through a revolution. While Rip was peacefully snoring up the mountain, a revolution was taking place that at points in time would change the course of human history. And Rip knew nothing about it. Dr. King warned us that people find themselves living in great periods of social change, and yet they fail to develop, he said, new attitudes to keep up with the changes, new mental responses as the situation demands. They end up, Reverend, sleeping through a revolution. There's not a student, I believe, at Shaw University, age 20 or 21 years old, who was old enough to vote for Barack Obama in his last campaign. Barack this, Michelle that. But you didn't vote for him. You saw him. You felt good about it. You're motivated because the long year of the Negro experience in America had reached the pinnacle of American political opportunity. You couldn't participate because you're too young. And the day that it ended, January of 2016, the forces of resistance took hold in America. And the very generation that was proud of Barack Obama on the one hand had to make a mental adjustment to a new reality on the other. Y'all not walking with me. Dr. King was challenging a segregationist named Johnson to advance the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the 1965 Voting Rights Act and the Public Accommodations legislation of 1966 through 68. Right up to the assassination. Dr. King never had to deal with a Donald Trump. Y'all don't hear me. If Johnson was enough to inspire Mr. Forbes and Cleve Sellers and Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Fannie Lou Hamer, if Johnson was enough, how can you sit around the home state, the foundation of other HBCUs in North Carolina, be 20 years old and as asleep as when Rip Van Winkle went up that hill and woke up and did not realize from which he came. You're not walking with me. Let me try and say it another way, Sean. My father was the first Jackson in the history of the name Jackson to ever graduate from college. I'm the second Jackson to ever get a college degree. There's students sitting here from Shaw whose mom and daddy never went to college. First generation to ever have the opportunity to go to college. Some of us won't, as we remain asleep, won't even make it through the freshman year. Some of us will matriculate to sophomore and to junior and on to senior, but lest our feet, I watch y'all real carefully when we got to the song, lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God and true to our native land. That's the song. That's what we stand for. Because it is the reminder of the road that we travel. So what? So we won't be asleep.
Stay woke.
So we wake up.
I'm trying to stay woke. But this ain't just a day.
I'm not so sure we need to awaken to a dream as much as we need to stay woke through this revolution. There is a student here who was alive when Rosa Parks sat down. There was now a student here who was alive when Martin Luther King stood up. There's not a student here who was alive when Jesse ran. They weren't there with us when Aretha sang. All of us remember when Obama won, but none of us were here when Swerner Goodman and Cheney were missing. And they were pulled over by the police for a crime that they did not commit. And Black Lives Matter. Well, Black and Jewish lives matter, which were Goodman and Cheney.
He might have been.
And we're still the police. We ain't just start fighting the police.
He said
It's always been the police. No appreciation at all for why the present president is always defending who? to wake up and give us a snake. Give us some leadership from a new generation that attaches the old struggle to the new one. During the 1960s, the federal government and our human rights were on the ascendancy. 70 years later, the states and states' rights are on the ascendancy. In the 1980s, Ronald Reagan said, tear down this wall. In 2016, Donald Trump said, build a wall. In 1963, Martin Luther King Jr. said, today we stand in the shadow of a man who 100 years later, 100 years ago, set the slaves free. 100 years later, we find ourselves in islands of despair and poverty throughout the nation. Because the struggle for us predates, Dr. King said, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. Black folk, listen here now. Black folk see something other folk don't see. They're a good bellwether that something's coming. Ryan Bieber said it best. Because I was Jew and they attacked the Jews, I didn't respond and no one came for me. Then I told them I was a socialist and they came for the socialists, but no one came for me. I told them that I was a Christian. And because I didn't stand up for Muslims and other Jews and Christians, they came for me. And by the time they came for Shaw and the HBCUs, wasn't nobody left. So watch this, Shaw. Our progress will come when we move beyond race, beyond sex and beyond class. Red, yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. Dr. King's dream was not a dream for black folks only. It was a dream for all Americans that we might participate in a community of love and care. First, we must love one God with all of our heart, soul, and mind, and our neighbors ultimately as ourselves. Everybody, that's the sum of our religion. From Genesis to Revelation, you can quote scriptures all Sunday long, but the sum of religion is the love of one God and the love of neighbor. Because all of the laws of the prophets hang on those 2 points. Let me try and make it a little clearer. In the final analysis, students, we have to stop complaining about what we don't have. We have to turn to each other and not on each other. Young men, if you're not respecting women on this campus, I don't expect you to respect them when you get off this campus, and that's a problem for you in today's America. Get your practice on. Let me try and say that again, because I thought the brothers might respond a little more forcefully. I said, if you're not respecting the sisters on the campus now, I don't expect you to respect sisters when you're not on the campus, and that's a problem for you in today's society. You have to change your mental attitude. Sisters, there's another side of that. Our I can't do it. Sisters, stop it. You want respect, you demand respect. You don't even have to give it. Demand it by demanding of yourself. So what about the things tell us today? He would look objectively at the spirit energy of our nation. A spirit energy that emanates from the top of this country. And he would not call us to higher political leadership. He would call us to higher moral leadership. That the standards and motives of human decency must lead who we are. The authentic you. That's who I want to be. Not the fake you. Not the fake news. Not the fraud that you post on social media. Who are you? Let me tell y'all who I am. I served my country for 17 years. After 17 years of serving my country, for more than a dozen of those years, I lived outside of my means. I caught a federal case and spent 30 months in the federal prison, not very far from here, in Butler, North Carolina. Reports, I felt like I let you down. I felt like I let my daddy down. I felt like I let Dr. King down. I was in a deep, depressive kind of space. And it wasn't long before I met some of our brothers and some of our sisters in the same institutions that I began to count my blessings. I met men and women, some of them are children, who are going through the same level of shame and blame and guilt and failure to accept responsibility for their behavior. I met them on my journey. My mom and daddy tell me, you need to stop talking about that story publicly. I said, Mom, I can't let it go. Because we're going to have to lift the shame and the blame and the guilt off of people by accepting responsibility for your behavior so that you don't live a life of resentment and regret. Learn from us. Grow with us. Stop complaining about what you don't have. Use what you got. Turn to each other and not on each other. Honor Dr. King by being the best that you can be. Be authentic. Be committed. Be an example. Be a role model. Do what Dr. King would have wanted you to do. Register and vote. Participate in the process. Engage the community. Lift those who cannot lift themselves and let us rebuild our country and our community. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you all.
This has been another edition of What's Up at Shaw U. Thank you for joining us.